aims of education during Buddhist period. We just started yesterday. And this is so easy because once you have got some idea on the life philosophy or the concepts of a particular age or a particular era, it's very easy to tell about the aims of education. Because every era or every country provides education with some goals related to the aims of life. So the first aim of education during Buddhist period was preparation for nirvana or liberation. And there was some confusion. Actually, David has got some better information related to Vedic period, Buddhist period, and such things because he has got some philosophical ideas. I appreciate him, and actually I'm so glad because I too get some help and assistance from Remit because he is able to correct me. And Remit, don't worry, you can correct me. I feel I should be corrected by others, even if by my students. So I was telling something about reincarnation. I was telling that Buddhism was against reincarnation. Actually, it was not completely right. Actually, I wanted to convey that Buddhism was against the reincarnation concept of Hinduism. Because Buddhism was against the social stratification. And according to the concept of reincarnation in Hinduism, a person is born as Shudras just because he was doing some evils and such things in the previous birth, in the previous era. But Buddhism was believing in rebirth. So I don't want to explain all these things in deeper manner because we have not enough time for that. But just think that actually Buddhism was against the reincarnation concept of Hinduism. And Buddhists believe that if you're able to give up, or if you're able to get away from all the desires of life, you will be able to become away from all the miseries of life. That means nothing will affect you. Nothing will create any tension in your mind. Nothing will create any sort of sadness in your mind. So if you reach such a stage, that stage is called nirvana or liberation. If you're able to reach nirvana or liberation, then you can get rid of or you can get away from the reincarnation cycle. So that is what is told by Buddhism. So we are falling, or we fell in some miseries in our life just because of desires. So if we are able to come out of such desires, we can come out of miseries. And it's a higher stage of life. Ordinary people may not be able to do that. There should be some practice. There should be some acquisition of great knowledge, great concept, great ideas. So the first and foremost aim of education during Buddhist period was preparation for nirvana or liberation. So by giving education to your citizens, actually your intention is to make them able to reach the stage called nirvana or liberation. And on the basis of this most important aim of education, or on the basis of this ultimate aim of education, other aims arrive. The second aim of education is to create some awareness on the Four Noble Truths. First of all, you should make your students, make your citizens aware that there are Four Noble Truths. These are common for all the people. The Four Noble Truths are human life is full of miseries, and the real cause behind these miseries is human desire. But you can come out of such miseries, and you have to follow Eightfold Path. You have to practice 8 things in your life. So you should make them aware about the 4 noble truths. So you have to teach the 4 noble truths. And that is another aim of education, teaching the 4 noble truths, or creating a clear-cut idea about the 4 noble truths in the minds of your citizen. I'm sorry, I think someone among you sent some message. Sorry. Sorry. Then comes enabling for following an Eightfold Path. So for coming out of, for overcoming the miseries, we have to follow Eightfold Path. So you should teach Eightfold Path. Right view, right action, right speech, right intention, right mindfulness, right concentration, right livelihood. So you should teach all these things. You should teach different aspects of all the paths, Eightfold Paths. You should teach them how to practice Eightfold Paths. So this is another aim of education during the Buddhist period. You should make their view right. You should create a right vision on life in the minds of your citizens. You should encourage them to indulge in right actions, virtuous actions. You should teach them how to speak in a very good manner. You should make them aware of right speech. So you should teach all the Eightfold Paths. So this is another aim of education during the Buddhist period. Then comes spreading the concept of ahimsa, propagation of the concept of ahimsa. Ahimsa was or is one of the core elements of Buddhism. So you should teach your students the importance of ahimsa, non-violence. You should teach them to keep a peaceful mind. You should teach them not to quarrel with their mates, their friends, their co-beings. You should teach them to respect the rights of others. You should teach them to keep some human values. When you keep some human values, you will not be able to disturb any other person. You will not be able to quarrel with any other person. You will not be able to kill any other person. So, spreading the concept of ahimsa is another aim of education during the Buddhist period. Then character development. So I told you that character development was an aim of education during different ages before the coming of Britishers, I mean the ancient educational systems. If you think about the difference between traditional educational systems and modern educational systems, you can see that character development was one of the aims of education during all the educational systems, or in all the educational systems during the ancient periods. But in our modern educational system, we give more importance to personality development, not to character development. So I have told you that character is something called secret life and our peripheral life, our public life. So you have to keep your character even when you are not getting any benefits. Personality is something, some external appearance, which we keep just for getting some benefits from others, just for creating an image, a better image in the minds of others. Sometimes we may be able to behave in a better manner to some rich people when they come to us, if we are some businessmen, because if we are able to behave in a very good manner to rich people, then we can get more benefits. And we may not be behaving in such a manner to poor people. because we are creating an image, an external image, an external appearance in the minds of others just for some material benefits or some financial benefits or for some popularity among others. But character is not that. Character means you should keep some ethics, you should keep some values in your secret life as well as in your public life. So character development was another aim of education during the Buddhist period. Then promotion of international brotherhood. And this one you can see there, because during the Buddhist period, there were two international universities, Takshashila and Nalanda. And it is told that lots of students from different parts of the world were coming to get having education to Takshashila and Nalanda. So they were promoting international brotherhood. So another aim of education was promotion of international brotherhood. Then imparting practical knowledge. So they were thinking about the practical knowledge. You cannot live a meaningful life with some theoretical knowledge, only with some theoretical knowledge. Okay? There should be some practical knowledge too. So another aim of education during the Buddhist period was imparting practical knowledge. Then comes inculcation of civic duties. Though there was no democracy, still people had to keep some laws. People had to follow some laws and regulations. So the people should have to be aware of different civic duties, because they had to follow some duties as citizens of the country. So another aim of education was inculcation of civic duties. So these were the aims of education during the Buddhist period. Have you got any doubt in this regard? Is it thorough? Yeah. Yeah. Yes, tell me.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, tell me. Yeah. And see, my dear students, you always think about the life concepts of different eras. Actually, if you are asked to give the aims of education during the Vedic period, there is no need for thinking more and more, because you know that the most important aim of life during the Vedic period was to reach moksha. Then if you are asked a question, what were the aims of education during the Vedic period, just tell. You have to utter without thinking, enabling the people to reach moksha. And similarly, you know that the most important aim of life during the Buddhist period was to reach the stage called nirvana, or liberation from all the desires. Then when you are asked, if you are asked to tell about the aims of education during the Buddhist period, you can just tell preparation for nirvana or liberation. So just think about the life philosophy of different eras, then you can easily tell the aims of education during different eras, right? Now, I may just move to curriculum during the Buddhist period. Again, curriculum will be on the basis of the life philosophy. So curriculum included core ideas of Buddhism. I mean, the content for the curriculum or the syllabus was selected on the basis of the Four Noble Truths and Eightfold Paths. So core ideas of Buddhism, like Noble Truths, Four Noble Truths, then Eightfold Paths, then stories which inculcate ahimsa or non-violence, were included in the curriculum of Buddhist education. And there is 3 R's. 3 R's means reading, writing, and arithmetic. And it is told that writing was introduced by Buddhists. I do not know whether it is right or not, but I happen to read in some sources that writing was introduced by Buddhists in India. So reading, writing, and arithmetic were included in the syllabus. And these three things are known as 3 R's. Then comes grammar, art, medicine, logic, philosophy, etc. were also a part of the curriculum. Then agriculture, astrology, astronomy, law, all these items also were a part of the curriculum during the Buddhist period. These are the subjects. I feel that there is no need for explaining more. So these are included in the curriculum of education during the Buddhist period. Right. Now, I may ask you a question. There was some initial ceremony during the Vedic period for starting education. What was it?
Abja.
What was the initial ceremony during the Vedic period?
Buddhist education.
Upanayana.
Buddhist education alle sir choichadu.
I just asked you what was the ceremony during the Vedic period. During the Vedic period, it was Upanayana. Okay, and just like Upanayana, during the Buddhist period too, there was some initial ceremony, and that was told by who told it? Yeah, who answered?
Abja.
Yes, who is that?
Anit.
According to Anit, it is Pabja, or we tell Papaja or Pabja. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Papaja ceremony. So during the Vedic period, it was Upanayana, and during the Buddhist period, we can see an initial ceremony called Papaja, or Pabja or Papaja. Actually, we tell Papaja. And here there is a difference. You know that during the Vedic period, Upanayana ceremony was observed for different sections during different age level. Okay, am I right? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
For Brahmins, it was at the age of
8.
8. Then for Kshatriyas, it was at the age of
11.
11.
11. Then for the Vaishyas, it was at the age
12.
of
12.
12.
But here there is a difference. The initial ceremony for each and every section was at the same age. What was that age? So we can just look. It was the Papaja ceremony. It was the initial ceremony of starting education of a child during the Buddhist age. And here the age was 8. There was no discrimination. Each and every child from different sections were allowed to start or permitted to start education at the age of 8. When the child became 8 years old, regardless to his caste, they were started being given education. At the meaning of the word Papaja is to go out. That means they had to go out from their home. And see, during the Vedic age, they were joining the residence of whom? The residence of whom?
Monastery.
Yes, it was monastery, that the residence of the teacher or guru. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Guru.
And here there is a difference. Actually, these students do not join the residence of the teacher, but they join Sangha Vihara. What is this Sangha Vihara? What
It
is
is called monastery, assembly of monks.
Yeah. This is a center where different Buddhist monks get together. You can see a difference. Actually, during the Buddhist period, the Buddhist priests were residing together at some center. Actually, they were living together as groups. And this group, the group of Buddhist monks are known as Sangam. And the center where they were residing were known as Sangha Vihara. And you can see a difference from the Gurukula system. Gurukula system was a single teacher, multi-student educational system. But Buddhist educational system was a multi-teacher, multi-student educational system. So the meaning of the word Pappaja is to go out. So when the child became 8 years old, he had to leave his home and join Sangha Vihara. The child would shave his head and would wear yellow clothes, saffron clothes. Then he would just start education by taking the oath. Buddham Sharanam Gacchami, Dharmam Sharanam Gacchami, Sangam Sharanam Gacchami. Which means I take refuge in Buddha, I take refuge in Dharma, I take refuge in Sangha. It was the initial ceremony. When the child became 8 years old, he would just leave the home, just join the Sangha Vihara and recite these lines. Buddham Sharanam Gacchami, Dhammam Sharanam Gacchami, Sangam Sharanam Gacchami. Which means I take refuge in Buddha, I take refuge in Dharma, I take refuge in Sangha. This is the Pappaja ceremony, right? Yes, a version, another version of the Upanayana ceremony which was there, which had been there during the Vedic period. Then the system, there was another ceremony, and this ceremony was known as Upasampada ceremony. It is the convocational ceremony. I think some of you got education from some other states, and some of you might have attended some convocational ceremony. Has anyone? What is the convocational ceremony?
The ceremony in which opposed students.
Yeah, the ceremony on which the distribution of certificates occur, yeah, at the end of the academic year. Yes?
Yes, sir. They officially declared as professionals,
Yeah,
etc.
yeah. Oh, and we call it in Malayalam Birudadana Chadangu. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So here there was a convocational ceremony or closing ceremony at the end of the education. And it was known as Upasampada ceremony during the Buddhist period. And it was after 20 years of education at the Vihara. The child would go to the Vihara, Sangha Vihara at the age of 8. And when he became 28 years old, he had to stop the education. Then after the education, after the end of the course of education, there would be some ceremony called Upasampada ceremony. And after this ceremony, the child would become a perfect Buddhist monk. And this Buddhist monk is known as Bhikshu. He also would become a teacher. He also would join the Sangha Vihara. And it was the practice. So it tells that there was no relations with the family after joining the Sangha. Once the child left the home and joined the Sangha Vihara, then there was no return. And this is a topic which we have to discuss, because it is told that during the Buddhist period, each and every person was given education. But if the person was to become a bhikshu after completing education, I think that the information is not accurate, because if it was so, all the people during the period should have been monks. So this is what I get from the sources. Okay, so this is Upasampada ceremony. Then comes the educational system. As I told, it was a multi-teacher, multi-student system. During the Vedic period, there was only a single teacher, and the students were residing with the teacher and the wife of the teacher at the residence of the teacher. But here, Sangha Vihara was there. There were thousands of monks as teachers. Yeah, the students reside at the Sangha Vihara, where thousands of teachers would teach thousands of students. And it was a real institutionalized residential education, the real institutionalized residential educational system in India. Actually, Gurukula had been also a residential school system, but it was not some institutionalized educational system. It was the home of the teacher, but here it was something like an institution. Teachers and students reside together. So it was also said to have taught their religious as well as secular subjects. Okay, they were giving religious as well as secular education as Sangha Viharas. So I think you might have got an idea. Okay, so it was the educational system. Thousands of teachers were there. Then specialization was there. During the Gurukula system, actually, a single teacher had to teach all the subjects to the different students. But during the Buddhist period, different teachers were teaching different subjects. That means there was some specialization of subjects, just like we are doing now. Because I am teaching you philosophy, psychology, and such things. Some other teacher is teaching you English. Some other teacher is teaching you physical science and such things. So this is a sort of specialization. So there were lots of teachers who were teaching different subjects instead of a single person who would be teaching all the subjects. Yeah, right. Then I think these items do not need more explanation because you have already got some idea. Okay, if we need more explanation for something, then we can do that. Then comes the methods of teaching during the Buddhist age. I told you that writing was introduced during this period. The oral transaction was there, just as during the Vedic period. During the Buddhist period too, there was oral transaction, but writing too was introduced. Then you can see different methods. During the initial stage of education, there was lecture, self-study, and meditation. During the higher stage of education, there were discussion and debate. These were the methods of teaching. Lectures, self-study, meditation. That is something like Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Yeah, lecture by the teacher, Manana by or self-study by the students. Then meditation, that means mental discussion. Discussing something in our own mind. And it was Nididhyasana during the Vedic period. Then comes during the higher stage of education, there were discussion among the students. Discussion between the teacher and the students and discussion among the students. Then there was debate, the method for debate. Okay. Yes, got it. I think there is no need for more explanation because all of you know all these methods. Then comes life at Sangha Viharas. And it was just like at the Gurukula system. The teacher got prominence at Vihara too. It is told that there was a little more democratic attitude despite during the unlike during the Vedic period. Compared to Vedic period, it is told that there was a little more democratic attitude, but you can see the same system there. Just as in the case of Vedic period, the student had to wake up early in the morning and had to assist the teacher in his daily routines.